Alright, what's up YouTube? It's One Way Up here, back with another car review. I know it's been a while since I've done one, but in this video I got a nice car in front of you for today. This is the Dodge Charger RT. So starting with the different trim levels for the Dodge Charger, you have the base trim, which is the SXT. You have the GT, which is the next step up, which they both carry the Pentastar 3.5 liter V6, putting out 292 horsepower in the SXT and about 300 in the GT. Then you have this one here, which is the next trim up, which is the Dodge Charger RT. And this one comes with a 5.7 liter V8, puts out about 370 to 375 horsepower. And the next trim up would be the Scat Pack, which has the 6.4 liter Hemi V8, putting out about 485 horsepower. And then after that, you have the Hellcat, SRT Hellcat trim, which has the 6.2 liter supercharged Hemi V8, puts out 707 to 797 horsepower, depending on which Hellcat trim you get. So right here, this Dodge Charger RT, much hasn't really changed between 2019, 2020, and 2021. This is the 2019 model here, but one cool thing that Dodge did do for the 2019 and up model years for the GT and the RT models is that they put the Scat Pack and SRT body style onto the GT and RT trims. So basically, when you have a GT or RT, you basically get this nice looking body style that was previously only available on the SRT and Scat Pack models, which is really nice. So you got a nice looking car for less money. Now some people may argue that there isn't really much of a difference in terms of exterior between the Scat Pack, SRTs and GTs and RTs, but I still think it's a great move that Dodge did. I mean, this hood scoop looks really good on it and is actually functional. It does have air that flows into it. The front grille looks very nice. Also, when these LED headlights light up at night, it's a very distinctive look, and you can definitely tell a Dodge Charger from any other sedan that's on the road. The bumper has a nice front grille right there on the bottom, and you do get fog lights on the RT and GT, but in a Hellcat, I believe those fog lights aren't going to be there because it does need extra air to flow through the front of the vehicle. So moving over to the side of the car, you do get these nice gun metallic 20-inch rims that look really nice. These rims look nice in any color that you get this car in. You can get it in red, black, green, blue, and these rims look really nice with any color combination that this car comes with. And I'm glad that they put these rims on it. And of course, since this is the RT model, you're going to get the Hemi badge right there on the side. And moving over, much hasn't really changed from the Dodge Charger since they've redesigned it in 2015, but I'm glad that they didn't really change much from it, because the style, I mean, it looks pretty good, it's very distinctive, and they didn't really need to do many changes for it. So moving over to the rear of the car, you do get these nice inserts that are here at the back. And then moving over, you get the classic, well, it's not really a classic, but it's a distinctive and unique taillight. So one great thing about the Dodge rear is that you know it's a Charger when it lights up. You can see that LED bar that goes across the back, which looks really cool. And you get your RT badge right there on the side. I like that it's blacked out in this model. These round tailpipes look really cool as well. And the spoiler, I do like how the spoiler raises up on the side, so it gives it a nice sporty look to it as well. So now coming over to get into the car, this Dodge Charger comes with remote start and also keyless and lock and unlock. So when you want to lock the car, you can just press the button to lock and unlock it like that. But one great thing I love about FCA product is that you can just keep the key in your pocket and just put your hand there and it automatically unlocks. So giving you guys a look at the inside of the Charger. So like I said, they haven't really changed much as far as like design for this vehicle since it was redesigned in 2015, but I mean, they really didn't need to change much. I feel like the layout is great for this vehicle. It's not meant to be a luxury car. Everything is very functional and easy to get to, and pretty simple and easy to use, really. So I'm gonna start this vehicle up. Hear that Hemi V8 start up. You're never gonna get tired of that sound. I mean, one of the best things about this vehicle is that exhaust note that you do get. So Dodge did upgrade the exhaust for the 2018 and up model year. So now these are active exhausts on this vehicle, so it sounds really good when you rev it. And I'm gonna pop the hood and just go over some engine specs. Alright, so here we go. Like I said earlier, this is the 5.7 liter Hemi V8. It's been around for a pretty while now. It's been in the Ram, it's in the RT Chargers, RT Challengers, and it puts out 370 in this configuration, but in the Challenger I believe it's 375, and in the Ram it's 400 horsepower, but you also get some good torque with this, 395. So great engine with this exhaust, sounds really good. You got plenty of power to get moving around town, and I'm definitely gonna miss this engine once they pull the plug on it. Alright, so stepping back into this Charger. So starting off with the quality and materials of this vehicle, you don't really have a lot of leather in this configuration. I mean, there are an option for you to get the RT Plus. In the RT Plus you will get leather along the side of the door and slightly better materials, but I mean, with this vehicle, it doesn't feel cheap on the inside. So it doesn't have a lot of leather, but it does have like a soft rubbery material, and I'm glad that they use this because it's much better than using hard plastic. So overall, you know, the materials in this car is not, you know, high quality, but it doesn't really feel cheap, which is really good, and I gotta commend Dodge for that. This nice little meshy gray that you have for here looks really cool. And I'm gonna start with the steering wheel. Comes with paddle shifters, which is nice. This car does feel really sporty. Let me pull this forward so there's no glare. The speedometer looks, you know, sporty as well. I like the way the numbers are and the font style that they use for the numbers. And as you cycle through the performance, well, not performance pages, but different pages on the display here, you do have so many different things that you could look at. You have braking distance, you have G-force sensors, a quarter-mile timer, an eighth of a mile timer, 0 to 100 timers. There's so many different things that you can go through on the center screen. You have your tire pressure, your basic regular systems, but it's really cool that you could go through different displays here. And the font that they use and the way it looks really cool. It looks really sporty, like it's a performance car. And on the steering wheel, you got phone controls here on the side. Now this isn't a fully loaded RT, so I'm guessing on higher trim levels you do get like adaptive cruise controls and stuff. That's where these buttons would be for, but you do have regular cruise control here. And automatic headlights, trunk release, adjust the brightness of your display. You do get automatic driver and passenger windows, but the rear ones are not automatic. Now, one thing I do like about the door is that you get a lot of space on the side here. So this is a pretty big water bottle, you know, about 3 times the size of the regular water bottles, and I like how it's able to fit right there with no issues. And then you do have a lot of space here where you can lay another bottle down if you'd like. So top of the car has a nice soft cloth material, and you do get a sunroof with this model, which is cool. Now the center armrest, pretty soft. This is leather wrap, but it is a soft material, and I like how it's wide. So that's one great thing I like about American cars, is that they tend to have a nice wide armrest for you. And I love how you could hide away the cup holders to give it a nice clean look. You can even put like a phone here, and it should be a nice place to rest it, or you can always put your phone right here, which you do get some nice storage space right there as well. A little holder here, you could put your key or some coins like I have here. Another cool thing is that in the cup holders, you do have a spot for you to place your phone right there, which is more storage space, which is nice. Another thing is that when I open the center armrest, you do have dual compartment. So let me just move this stuff out the way. You could remove this tray, and then you do get more space down there, which is very good. You do get a lot of space in the center armrest. And then 2 12-volt power outlets. Well, not 12 volt, but USB ports and the auxiliary port right there. This is where your 12-volt power outlet would be. Now moving over to the center screen, you do have 8.4-inch Uconnect. Uconnect is probably the best and easiest infotainment system, I would say, in automobiles that are out right now. I mean, there may be others that I don't know about, but this is definitely a great infotainment system. It's very easy to use to cycle between screens. You know, you got your radio controls right here, and then if I move over, you got your media, Bluetooth, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. When you turn on climate controls, you get dual zone climate. You do also have the option to have the heated steering wheels, heated seats, auto dimming rear view mirror and side view mirror, which is great, but they don't have it for the passenger mirror. But you know, it's very configurable as far as like different things you can go through. Seating controls, there's even a menu for seating controls if you don't want to go through the climate, which makes it easier to get to. Let me turn this off for now. Go to settings, you know, all that good stuff. But another interesting thing about this RT is that it does have nice apps here, but it does have a performance pages screen. So I'm gonna wait for this to load up and show you a little bit more about that. But yeah, this screen is very, very cool. It shows you different specs about the car in real time. So as you're driving, you do have a G-force meter that moves as you turn or brake or accelerate, and it shows you real-time feedback of what's happening with the G-force. You can even look at the performance pages for your power, torque, and oil pressure as you're driving. You do have, you know, different screen for more gauges about your engine temperature, battery voltage, all that stuff. You do have your timers and reaction times, and at the home you can even customize the widgets that are here. So right now it's set up as power, quarter-mile timer, 0 to 100 timer, and if I hit add widget, I could add a gauge like oil pressure, battery voltage, something that I've seen in the other screen, which is cool. And you can definitely customize, you know, this screen and go through, you know, different data as you're driving. And also you can learn a little bit about vehicles too, seeing how does torque react when you accelerate and all that kind of good stuff. And moving down to this part of the vehicle, you do have your volume control, mute button for the radio, or you can just turn the volume down if you like. This is the scroll knob. Traction control off. So when you put the traction control off, it goes into sport mode. So once I hit that, well, it doesn't go into sport mode, excuse me, it goes into traction control sport. So basically they consider traction control in sport mode when it's off in this car. Parking sensors, you do have the option to turn it off. And then this button is something that I really like. It's called Super Track Pack. So when you push Super Track Pack, you can customize how you want your sport mode to look. So right now we currently are in default mode, but once I hit the sport button, everything changes into sport mode. So the current mode says sport, engine and transmission is in sport mode, so you get faster throttle response, and the vehicle does hold the gears longer and the engine revs higher, therefore. Traction control, I have it set to be in normal mode while the car is in sport mode, but you can change it, and the steering is obviously going to be heavier. So you do have a launch controller. You can select which RPM you like to launch the car from, and then once you go to sport mode setup, you could, you know, change the engine and transmission to sport, which is how it should be in sport mode. You can turn on and off the paddle shifters. You can put the traction control into sport mode, but I like to keep it in normal because it just spins the tires, and these are only 245s, so they aren't going to have that much grip on the road. And then the steering is in sport mode. So that's a cool thing about this car. You know, it's very in-depth when it comes to your sport mode configuration, and just looking at these performance pages, it's really cool to go through that. So now I'm going to step out of the car, and I'm going to show you the back seat. So the Dodge Charger is a very big car. I mean, let me just close the door real quick. I mean, I looked at the specifications as far as like length. This vehicle is pretty much the same length as a Nissan Pathfinder, which is interesting fact. So this car is big, it's very heavy, and therefore you should have a lot or a decent amount of space. So I'm sitting in the car right now. As far as like driving seating space positioned in the front, I do have the seat a little bit further back than what I normally drive, but you don't get as much space in the back seat as you would expect, but it's still, you know, pretty decent. I'm 6'3", and I'm sitting back here comfortably, and I have, you know, no issues with leg room. I mean, if I put my knees straight like this, it kind of bumps into the seat, but whoever's driving wouldn't most likely have the seat this far back. So you don't really get much back here. In the RT Plus, you would get heated and ventilated seats, but you do get 2 USB ports and fans that you can control back here, and some nice leather wrap pockets, so that's cool. Alright, so I'm gonna step out. Alright guys, so behind the wheel of the RT, so like I said, one thing I really love about this car is the way it sounds. Even when you're at, you know, sitting idle or just driving at low RPMs, you can even hear the exhaust. It's not even in sport mode right now, and when you put it in sport mode, you know, the sound kicks up a bit. But yeah, I mean, this car, the seats are very, very comfortable. I will say that. Like, the seats are very wide, you know, they sit pretty nicely. And as far as like the headrest is nice and wide. It doesn't tilt forward too much, which is something I hate about cars. You know, it's a great, comfortable, as far as like the seating position. You sit higher than a lot of other sedans, but the ride is very stiff. That is because, you know, it's on low profile tires, it's on 20-inch rims, and the suspension, I'm sure it's stiffer than the regular Charger, so it does ride hard. But, you know, it's still comfortable in terms of space inside and the way the seat is and everything. The steering can be a little bit stiff if you put it in sport mode, but you do have the option to loosen it. And yeah, I mean, it's a great car. You know, you will get a lot of heads turning, so for some people, but you know, power, like I said, this is the RT model, so you do get 370 horsepower. If you're someone who's coming from a 4-cylinder or V6, this will feel like a lot of power. If you are in the market for a car in this price range and you're considering a GT, I would say definitely go with the RT. You won't be disappointed when it comes to like the power. You don't want to be wishing you could have gotten more. But if you are considering an RT and you can possibly get a little bit more money aside for the Scat Pack, I would say, you know, go with the Scat Pack, because I've made the mistake of getting a RT when I could have gotten a Scat Pack, and just for just a few little, you know, what is it? It's only like a mile a gallon worse than the Scat Pack. Insurance isn't going to be that much more, but that may vary depending on what part of the country you're in. But you know, if you can't get the Scat Pack, I would say go for the Scat Pack. But if you get this and you're going for a GT or you're looking for a nice cool sedan, you definitely won't be disappointed with this car. And I just put it in sport mode, and as you can see, it sounds louder. And let me just do an acceleration from a rolling start. Let me just find a clear part. Oh, that may be a cop right there, so I'm going to chill out. Anyways, yeah, but I mean, sometimes you're just gonna want to put this car in, you know, sport mode and just cruise around, you know, with the music down. You just want to hear the engine. It's very nice. And I'm just gonna find a good spot to go for an acceleration run so you can see how it is to drive this vehicle, you know, behind the wheel. Looks like here may be a good spot. But yeah, you're not gonna get tired of the sound of this car, definitely not. So that's probably one of the reasons you may want to get one. But alright, so this is from 20 miles an hour. Yep, sounds, you know, very good. That'll be fun. You'll be doing that a lot if you were to get this car.